What is going on, guys? It is Wednesday, which means the new summon is now live on the Crew 2, and this week is the Downtown Pursuit bringing us a new vehicle. Well, I guess it's technically new, maybe not. The Crown Victoria Interception unit is also used in one of the races as well. But before we get into this summit, obviously in Platinum we have the Nitro Chemist Boosted, which has some really weird perks there. I'm going to have to test those out a little bit to see how those are. At least if you guys don't have a Nitro Chemist set, you could change the actual fix-it stats on there. So I guess it's kind of a win-win either way. And then gold, we have Catch Me Underglow, which that kind of defines itself. And then we have Koenigsegg Agera Drift Edition in silver, which I'd say many people already have that. And if you do, luckily, you will get the money back from that. Moving over to Salem's Ride is going to be the Salem Light Rooftop, which looks kind of cool. Then we have the Legendary Half Set Booster, which I think is the best part about the up-and-coming summits here. Well, specifically this one. We have the Rally Raid boosted set, which is going to be a score breaker, and this is the one that actually raised it to 87%, and my goodness, it's like the best set ever to use on Rally Raid for doing slaloms and all that. It is so good, my goodness. I recommend going after this one at least. At least go to gold, and I mean, platinum really doesn't matter too much. And taking a look at this, we have a good mix of races here. Ranges from, it looks like some street races to a touring car race to a monster truck Rally Raid race mix, which normally those are actually pretty fun to do. Anyway, moving over to the next summit, we have the Ace race, which honestly probably has one of the weirdest, Platinum Awards I've seen for that matter, and one of the weirdest sets I've ever seen added to one of these, an Aerobatics Fame Magnet set. Like, who actually uses these planes enough? To be honest, I really have not seen anyone using these. If anyone's flying around, they're using the actual air race planes, but I'll have to test out to see if it's actually useful or not, because I never really do the Aerobatics events anyway, because I just don't really enjoy doing them. But then we have the Harmon Rocket 3, which I think everybody has this plane, so if you do, you'll get the money for it, which is pretty awesome. Moving over to a summon I did not actually think was coming back, we have the Gold Seeker 2, which has the Mazda RX-8 Gold Edition, which I've actually used this car in very old videos, and I've been driving this thing around for a long time, and I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favorite summit vehicles to drive around in. I really do love how this thing looks, and it's very fun to drive. It's actually pretty fast as well, and it does look awesome for that matter with the big gold turbo sticking out of the hood there. And then in gold, we have the Golden Smoke, which I'd say many people probably won't care for that too much, myself included there. And then in silver, we have the Legendary Half Set Boosted, which is the other Rally Raid set basically from the Salem's Ride. And I gotta admit, this is one of the best score breaker sets you guys can have. Has an 87% like increase on the slaloms and all that, which is going to be insane. But one big thing I do want to point out, if you guys were wondering, having this set on your vehicles doesn't actually matter on the slaloms. I've noticed that, and skills in general. This doesn't really give you a huge advantage in the summits, but it does give you an actual score breaker set, which I gotta admit is insanely useful in itself. Moving over to the summit, so the first event is going to be a Speedtrap, and well, y'all know I ran the Corvette Stingray drag car because this thing is absolutely incredible, and this one's pretty easy. It's going to be the Magnificent Mile, which I really didn't have any issues with this one. You probably could do a little better if you were slipstreaming somebody, but honestly, I really don't waste too much time with trying to get a high score on the Speedtraps. I really don't think the points matter too much on there. For the Escape, I ran the Bugatti Divo, which I love this thing, and I know this is like one of the best vehicles to use. My route on this is kind of weird. I recommend trying it out because I actually didn't think I was going to get this far. But 150k on an Escape, I would say, is going to be good enough. I mean, I know many people are trying to go after like 20, 30,000 yards. I really don't blame you. Getting high scores is really fun. But 155k, which is basically like 4k more than I have, isn't really going to matter too much, especially you guys can get better scores on the other events as well, which is something I've been trying to do instead of like spending like an hour on Escape trying to get the perfect run instead of hitting a tree or a rock or a car gets in the way. It kind of gets a little unfortunate. And then over here we have an Aerobatics event, which I ran the Zivko Edge 540. I absolutely love this thing. First try, and this plane never disappoints, honestly. Definitely try that thing out. And then in the hypercar race, the Adventador LP704. This is actually a really good car. I have not driven the Adventador too much, and it's honestly a really good car. I really have not tested out the Adventador too much, and I was very impressed with this thing in this race. I mean, this thing hit 300 miles an hour, which kind of blew my mind. It handled every turn really well. I know it's all-wheel drive, but my goodness. The Adventador definitely blew my mind in this race, and I was not expecting it to be that good. Moving over to the CX-75 concept race. Now, I'd say a lot of people are going to recognize a lot of these events in this summit because, well, the second I jumped in this race, I knew exactly what it was. And the CX-75 actually blew my mind a little bit, just like the Adventador did. I wasn't expecting this car to be this decent, although it doesn't handle nearly as good as the Adventador. It did pretty dang well in this race, and I'd say if you guys are looking to get the best scores on these, you probably will have to slipstream because they are pretty open, but nonetheless, solo, you could still get very high scores. Moving over to the Crown Victoria Interception race. Now, this car is technically new, as I mentioned before, well, at least in terms of being like a new version of a car that's already in the game. And, well, this car is gonna be really awful to drive if anyone's driving manual for that matter. Put this thing in automatic. I was trying it in manual in this race, and my goodness, was it failing. But in automatic, this car did insanely well. Got 147K, and this is going to be one of those races that'll probably annoy people. I would say driving this thing in manual, if you guys are trying to shift in downtown Detroit race, I would say that couch from Battlefield Hardline is probably going to be fast. What was that thing called? Like the American Dream? I think that'll be faster than driving this car in manual. My goodness, when he shifted it, it would lose all of its power, and it honestly made me kind of want to scream a few times because I'd shift it, all the power would go away, the car would spin, I would lose traction. Put this thing in automatic, you will definitely not regret that. Moving over to the drift event is going to be the Agera R. This one can be pretty tough, and the Agera R can be kind of hard to drift because of how this car is. I think anyone in real life drifts an Agera R. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below if there's any professional drifters that uses a Koenigsegg Agera R. I would love to see that personally. But this car is kind of weird. I recommend bringing down the grip of the tires a bit and trying to bring up the ARBs a little bit on this car because it can be a little wonky to drift. I do think my build's pretty decent, but it does grip a little too much at times, which I was struggling with. But I still got 598,000 points, so I recommend trying that out. Moving over to the Rallycross No Restriction race, I ran my favorite Cadillac Escalade Enforcer unit. I absolutely love this SUV so much. I don't see a lot of people run it, but this truck is so good. It handles so well, has insane stability. Definitely try the thing out. This race has a lot of turns, by the way, and I do think they added more like checkpoints, so you can't really cut as many turns, which I'd say is probably a good thing because some of the races were a little ridiculous. Moving over to the hypercar race, so it's going to be a no restriction hypercar race. This will be Electric City. For this one, I ran the Bugatti Divo. Now, funnily enough, I was actually thinking about using a different hypercar on this, but I was just like, you know what, let's just use the Divo. This thing's basically over-reliable, and it's a great car, and it did very well around the turns. I know many people might agree that the acceleration on the Bugattis can be a little, well, on the lower side compared to some of the other hypercars. I personally have not really found any issues with them, but definitely try out the Divo on this race with my settings. You guys will not regret it. This thing actually did very well on this race. Anyway, if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into this summit.
you